Hey there, my name's Henry. I am a doctor working in regional Australia, Yorta Yorta country, actually. And this always was and always will be Aboriginal land, actually. Now, I'm a first year doctor. This is my first year working. I earn a lot more money than I need. I am probably one of the worst paid doctors in Australia, being an intern, and I still earn far more than I need to. Lots of doctors do. I live a very comfy life. The best things in life are free, and the next best things are very, very cheap. I love my life, and I'm living a very comfy life, even giving away half of my income, which is what I'm doing all this year. I'm giving away 50% of everything I earn to charities, organisations around the world that I think are making the world a better place, because I want to make the world a better place. I think looking around doesn't take a lot to see how lucky we are in Australia or any other developed country. We have so many opportunities and a quality of life that the vast majority of the world doesn't have, and we don't often think about it maybe as much as we should. But the median household income around the world is $10,000 a year per household. That's the median, which means that half of the world lives on even less than that. Two-thirds of the world live on less than $10 a day, and there's still 10% of the planet living on less than $2 a day. It's pretty mind-boggling, and it makes me want to do something about it, which is what I'm doing. Now, what's very difficult is trying to figure out how to do it, how to make the world a better place with money, and this is my pyramid scheme, representing the different charities that I've given to in different amounts. And the basis of the pyramid scheme, I suppose, are charities that are recommended by different organisations for being particularly effective, cost effective at making the world a better place, being particularly evidence-based. And I base this kind of information on a few organisations, and one of them is GiveWell, which is this big charity evaluator in the US and a strong proponent of kind of effective giving, effective altruism. And another organisation that really promotes this is Peter Singer's The Life You Can Save organisation. And I've given to two organisations this paycheck, and one of them is the Against Malaria Foundation, which is one of these organisations that both GiveWell and The Life You Can Save recommends. And the other is The Life You Can Save itself, because I think it's worth giving to The Life You Can Save. I think there's actually a lot more work to be done in trying to raise awareness of this idea of effective giving, and the idea that there are charities out there that we can give to that will make the world a better place, and that's based on evidence. So the Against Malaria Foundation is fantastic. It's run by about 8 people in the UK. They've been running for a number of years now. They've managed over $300 million in donations. These are 8 people. What they do with this money is they buy mosquito nets. Very simple. They just buy mosquito nets, which are impregnated with insecticide, and they hand these mosquito nets up to people. They just give them to people. Evidence shows that when you give people mosquito nets, they use them, and when they use them, they don't get malaria. Malaria kills more than 400,000 people every year. 400,000 people. Most of those are kids, because kids are most susceptible to it. It's a horrible disease. It's probably humanity's greatest enemy since the dawn of, since we started walking on 2 legs. It's a terrible disease, and I want to see it eradicated personally. And Against Malaria Foundation seems to be doing a great job of getting us there. They've also just approved a malaria vaccine recently in the news, which is very exciting. So I'm giving to Against Malaria Foundation. I've given it to it before. I'll probably give it to them again. They're a fantastic organisation. You might think $300 million, surely everyone in the world has a mosquito net by now. They don't. They don't. There's 10 times this amount of work that they've already done to do. And there's a lot of scale up to be done. So every dollar that you give to the Against Malaria Foundation is worth something. And the estimate is that with this kind of intervention, you're saving lives on the order of a few $1,000s each, which is, to be cold and calculating, a bit of a bargain. And then I want to talk about the life you can save itself, to whom I'm giving $500. So the Life You Can Save was founded by Peter Singer. It's also the name of a book, actually, which he wrote. And Peter Singer is an Australian philosopher and ethicist. And he's very much promoted this idea over the last couple of decades of effective giving, of acknowledging how much we have, how much more than strictly we need, and how much power we actually have to improve the lives of other people that don't have as much as us. And he really promotes the idea of giving effectively, trying to find ways like the Against Malaria Foundation or other preventative health organisations in developing countries, effective ways of really improving people's lives for relatively small sums of money. He talks about this classic thought experiment of his called the drowning child thought experiment. And he asks us to imagine we're walking past a child drowning in a pond, and yet we're wearing a $5,000 Versace suit. Now we could dive into the pond to save the child, but we'd ruin our suit. So what do? Well, unless you're a complete sociopath, of course you dive into the pond and ruin your suit and save a child's life at a cost of a $5,000 Versace suit. Who wouldn't? But it's a decision we're actually all making every single day, because there are people dying every day of preventable diseases, preventable conditions that we could be preventing by making relatively small sacrifices ourselves. So the Life You Can Save really promotes that idea, and I think there's a lot more to be done in promoting that idea. And I think you meet a lot of people that have just never come across this idea really of effective giving or of charity evaluation. And there's still a belief out there that charities generally aren't that effective, or they all spend their money on admin, or they all spend their money on fundraising. It's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that. And Peter Singer recently won the 2021 Berggruen Prize, which is a prize given out to people who come up with good ideas that make the world a better place. And good on him. I suppose I am a little bit bitter that I was overlooked for the Berggruen Prize myself, but there's always next year, and I think Peter Singer's a pretty worthy recipient. So the Life You Can Save recommends all these great organisations, most of which I've given to and which form the basis of my pyramid scheme, certainly, as do this pretty much entire overlap between the GiveWell recommendations and the Life You Can Save recommendations. Really recommend anyone looks into the Life You Can Save and has a read of the Life You Can Save, the book, as well. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this 2 weeks. Very keen to hear from anyone, what your suggestions are as to other charities I can be giving to. There's great charities all around the world, internationally and locally, doing big things, doing small things. There's so many ways to spend our money that's not on ourselves. I would really encourage everyone to think about all those great ways we can use our resources to make the world a better place. Peace out. Have a good 2 weeks, y'all.